Hi, I'm Amy Riegelman, and I am a social sciences librarian at the University of Minnesota. Today I'm going to be talking about some research that my colleague Katie Wilson and I did around phrasing in the search process, and specifically what happens when we use curly quotation marks. Katie Wilson is a colleague of mine at the University of Minnesota Libraries. And so we teamed up and we designed this research. So some background information: curly quotation marks and straight quotation marks are two completely different characters. In the search process, we use quotation marks to perform phrasing, meaning when we put quotation marks around two or more terms and put them in a bibliographic platform, we expect that those terms would then be grouped together in the results. So only pulling results that have those terms together in that order. Another thing to keep in mind is with systematic reviews and meta-analyses, you're expected to transparently report these details of a search strategy. So if you're using quotation marks in your search, you should be reporting that in your manuscript. Another thing to think about is, depending on your corner of the world or the language that you're using in your word processors, it could be the default that curly is what's inputted when you type. So that's what's happening to me in Minnesota, United States. When I use Microsoft Word and Google Docs and I type in a quotation mark, the default is to curly. And this can be problematic for some bibliographic platforms. So in spring 2019, we took a look at 40 different bibliographic platforms, and we were testing curly quotation marks, straight quotation marks, and then no quotation marks to compare the results, or the number of search results. And what we found was that of the 40 bibliographic platforms, 42.5% of the platforms ignored curly quotation marks. So they weren't performing that phrase that you would expect that was happening with the straight quotation marks. 10% of those platforms didn't recognize either straight or curly. One platform flagged it as an unsupported character, and we know that to be Ovid. So Ovid Medline, Ovid PsycInfo, other instances where databases are searchable in Ovid, you get a notice that curly quotation marks are unsupported. 30% of the platforms acknowledged curly quotation marks and performed the phrased search. And then 15% was unclear to us what was going on. Curly quotation marks were not being treated the same way as straight, but the results were kind of strange and it was unclear what was happening within the bibliographic platform. So in this center column, we have a table featuring just some of the results. It's just a snapshot, it's not the full 40. We have a preprint on the bottom right. So if you wanted to see how the 40 different bibliographic platforms that we tested performed with curly quotation marks, straight, and then no quotation marks, you could check that out. We have some recommendations. We wish that bibliographic platforms would report when they make any changes to their search syntax. This is a recommendation because when we perform a search in a database, that is a snapshot in time, and they could be changing things on the back end that would reflect different sets of results based on different characters. We also think that journals should be not making modifications to the characters used in transparently reported searches for submitted manuscripts. And so if, let's say, an information specialist types up the search strategy used in a review and they're intentionally using straight quotation marks because it was a search in an Ovid database, we do not want the journal to then go in and do copy editing and stylistic changes to make it curly, because that kind of messes with the study and may make it not reproducible or replicable, and that could be a problem. So if you are interested in learning more, please check out the preprint that we have linked in the bottom right, and let us know if you have any questions. My email address is aspringe@umn.edu. Thanks.